Hello and welcome everyone to this wonderful series, which is called Reflections, where we listen to stories that recharge and rejuvenate us. And today we have with us Ami Trivedi. Ami has been practicing the Brahma Kumaris Raja Yoga meditation for over 30 years. She strives to apply spirituality in her daily life, working as a technology architect, managing a meditation class location in Sydney, in Australia, and regularly facilitates meditation seminars in organizations and communities. And the title of the story that she would be sharing with us today is Transforming Grief into Joy. As she says, grief is a natural part of life, an emotion we all encounter. While some learn to carry it, others find solace as time gently softens its weight. Based on the spiritual wisdom of Raj Yoga meditation, let's discover through the story a path to transforming grief into joy. Embrace the possibility of saying a heartfelt goodbye to loved ones as they journey forward, replacing sadness with peace, loss with gratitude, and farewell with best wishes. So, a very hearty welcome to the program, Ami, and looking forward to hearing your story. How can we transform grief into joy? So, hearty welcome, and it's over to you to share your story with us.
Thank you so much, Lata. I'm so happy to be part of this program. Thank you for inviting me. It's an amazing series that you run, and stories are such a great way to reflect on our own learnings in life, as well as, use that as a means to hopefully help someone else, go a bit easy through it in their lives. So my story around transforming grief into joy goes back to my child. Like the story starts back in my childhood days. I was 1 year old around the time when my brother was born. And so the wisdom of my granddad was that, it would be hard for my mom, who at that time was living in another city in India, for her to look after, two very young children. So he suggested to my mom that that she should leave me with and stay with them. So at that time, it was my grandmother, my grandfather, and two of my uncle, and one of them had, two other children and their wives. So it was a big, as they call it in India, a joint family. So yeah, I was left in their care, and of course my mum visited every month, and just did the motherly things. But another beautiful role appeared in my life, and that was of my uncle, my mum's elder brother. In my language, Gujarati, the way we address uncle is a word which is spelled as M-A-M-A, mama, and that also has another, makes up to another words which is M-A-M-A. So ma, M-A, just in itself means mother. So in this case, my uncle, my mama, was like my mother twice. Was gave me more motherly love, twice as much than my mother. So I felt very fortunate to receive that from my very young days. He was a diamond and a gold businessman, so he had his own shop. So quite busy in that, but still, before he would go to his shop, he would make sure every little need was taken care of. Of course, my grandma was around, my aunt was around, but still, he personally ensured that I was okay. And as soon as he would return home, all his attention will go on me, and he would bestow so much care. And that continued on till I stayed with them for till I was 3, and receiving that unconditional love and care, I formed that bond with him. So even though then at age of 3 I went to stay with my mom and then start preschool and so on, every holiday that I would have, whether it's 2 weeks break or 2 months school holidays, I was back staying with him and the family. And, the bond fostered and fostered till, he became such an integral part of my life that I would share every success with him, every challenge with him, and receive such great wisdom from him. And my time with him, he would always, be so full of care and so full of love. And, like there was no one else in the world for him than me when I was there with him. And, I have never experienced like this much of care from anyone else, ever in my life. And so, yeah, of course, I was so thrilled to receive all this in life. And not only just physical care I received, but also I learned a lot from him. One of his hobbies was he liked to fix things, although, his business was gold and diamond, but in his spare time, he would fix, whether it's a broken alarm clock or a broken toaster or whatever, neighbors and families would bring stuff to him to fix. And so as a little kid, he taught me about these things, how things are put together. And I feel like spending that time with him over the years, he gave me this real gift, which, even at the professional level, I'm able to be what I am today because of that early exposure that he gave me to machines and explained to me hours at length how these machines work, what's involved, and so on. So I think he gave me a gift of that intellect that can figure things out. So, as this bond deepened, also then was the fear of losing this bond. Because after COVID, his health became very frail. He had few falls and he became wheelchair bound. And as soon as, I was able to travel again after COVID, I went to see specialists, to show him to specialists. And their advice was that, he's got a paralysis, which eventually was going to impact every part of his body. And, starting with his speech and, eventually will impact the brain. So he was already wheelchair bound, which was very sad to see. And, I did everything possible at a physical level to make sure he had all the facilities and so on. My aunt was around to also support him through this journey. But that fear of losing, was always lurking in the back of my mind that, what will life be without him? Why will I ever go back to, my hometown without him not being there? And eventually the day came when the fear, I had to face that fear. I received a phone call around 2 a.m. in the morning, and it was my neighbor ringing to say that my uncle's unconscious. He's rang the doctor, and he thinks that the life has gone, but he wanted to just let us know. So when I heard this, I sat in meditation, and straight away I felt the power from the Supreme Being. And also, I felt the shift in my thinking. Up until that point, when I looked at him, I was full of gratitude and appreciation, but also, like I said, there was that fear of loss. But at that time, I felt that this is actually a good time because he's now going to go to a healthy body, be born in a very loving family. And all these good thoughts started coming to my mind. And all of a sudden, the fear that I feared really had lifted off my shoulders to a feeling of lightness and feeling like I want to, stay in that connection with the Supreme Being and keep sending him light and power so that his journey onward is, filled with that. And, much later, reflecting on the story, I realized how it was this one understanding that I had learned through, my years and years of practice of Raj Yoga that I knew, is how it is, but I had never really implemented it as such. It was a point of knowledge, a point of understanding that I knew very well. But in that moment, when I put it into practice, I actually felt the power of it. But how powerful, through one thought, you can change your feeling, you can change your outlook towards it. And further, I started reflecting on his life because, even in my house here, there are so many things that I have, that he has shared with me, or he has given it to me, or he made it for me. So, everywhere around, I'm filled with the memories. So initially, when I would open, like he used to make a special chai masala, each year for us. And so when I would open that jar, I would remember him. I'll open something else, I'll remember him. And then another thought came to my mind. I said, it's like of course, I was feeling a lot of gratitude at that time, that how amazing was he to even, take care of all these small things. And then the thought came, even when I would remember him through this, let me use this moment to send him that power from the Supreme Soul. So once again, every time this, something that I would interact with that, had a connection with him, I would remember the Supreme Soul and send him that light. And I too would take that opportunity to receive the light and power from the Supreme Soul. This is what we learn in Raj Yoga meditation, of connecting our minds to the one, who's the eternal source of light and power, and then sharing it with others. So through that too, I started, shifting my, regular remembrance and regular, where my mind was being constantly pulled to him, to transforming that and using that as an opportunity to, fill myself with power and send power to him. And, up until then, I know that I received a lot of love and attention and care from my uncle. But I also, know that he bestowed that equally on everyone else that he came in contact with. My, cousins would also tell me the stories of, when they would visit him, that he would be doing the same to him. One of my other uncles shared the story that one time, he had picked up two strangers from the street who had come from overseas and didn't know their way around. And because my uncle and aunt lived by themselves, he suggested they stay with him. And he again took so much care of them. So I realized that, one thing I can do as, keeping this beautiful energy that he shared with me alive is to share it with others. Really take that inspiration from him and, imbibe that quality that he had and share with others. And that way, it's like the universal gift that his life and the role that he played in my life, I can also share with others. So that was the third aspect that I want to share with all of you is, we can transform it into joy by reflecting on what was about them that brought so much joy in my life, and how I can keep this joy alive by, being that and by sharing that with others. So yeah, I still remember him very often, but I've now learned how to tie this remembrance with the remembrance of Supreme Soul, and have that double benefit. So yeah, the story I'll conclude here. I hope whoever listens to this story is able to make some connection to it.
Yeah. Beautiful sharing. I'm sure there are many out there who have some or the other situation similar to this. And a beautiful thing that you share, that you knew, or there was this fear that it will, that you will have to face eventually one day, but it was still there. And then when it happened, okay, you shifted it so that it, changed into joy instead of grief. But there are some people out in the world who may go through some situations like this, but it may be quite unexpected. One is maybe I'm preparing for some situation like that to come. But sometimes in life, there are things that just happen, suddenly, unexpectedly.
Internet's frozen. I can't hear you anymore, Lata. Oh, you're back again, but I lost you there for a few seconds.
Yeah. Let me repeat my
Yeah.
question. So some situations in life may just come unexpectedly. Uh, like in your story, you knew it would come eventually, but people may have situations which just happen suddenly, and they are taken aback and don't know how to respond, and it sometimes comes as a shock. In your opinion, is there something we can do to prepare ourselves for such unexpected situations in life, which may or may not happen eventually? But if I prepare myself, then maybe I will be able to face it in a better way, which will not be so shocking, or I may not go through a lot of sorrow or pain if it happens. And any thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
That's a great question. And I think, yeah, it's a very apt question as well, because, my observation is things in life more and more, are happening suddenly. And so, yeah, it's good to be prepared for it. And yeah, the way I prepare myself, because I shared one story, but I've gone through a few others over time as well, and some of them, were suddenly. So yeah, and learnings from that, and further now the preparation I do in that regards is twofold. One is this understanding we learn in Raj Yoga that everything that's happening at every moment is very, very accurate and it's of benefit. So, a situation that may feel like of absolute loss, whether it's losing a job or, losing, someone, moving on from your life and so on. At that moment, rather than, of course, we want to learn from each things and go, okay, what can I do better next time? But underpinning that is this, that it was still accurate, that whatever happened was absolutely, and that in Raj Yoga we understand is because, you know, the journey of the soul goes on for many births and many lives. I'm only seeing what's in front of me right now, but there is a bigger scene at play. And through that when if I step my awareness and look at, it's like almost zooming out. If I zoom out and see things, then you kind of go, yeah, that's absolutely accurate. So that I keep that in my awareness, and remind myself of that there is, yeah, benefit in that. So whether that's benefit of me, learning from that, or benefit of some sense of freedom. I'm going on to something new, some new experiences. So yeah, both of that together, I feel, can not only help me, but in Raj Yoga we learn, yes, that aspects, yeah, helps us
Wonderful.
stay, you know, um, yeah, what's the right way to phrase it? It's engaged yet, remain that, yeah, detached from it, detached not in a cold way, but detached from perhaps the sorrow and suffering of it. I think I've lost you there again.
Think,
Okay, you're back.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Ami. Another question, if I were to ask, you mentioned that one of the best ways to transform that grief into joy is to start being or imbibing and sharing the qualities that that person had in them. So, I am passing on that joy to others and keeping that alive. Do you think it needs a lot of courage or more energy, inner transformation to do that? Because sometimes it may happen that if I'm thinking of that person, uh, I'm getting pulled into those memories and may go through sorrow and pain. So how do I kind of balance that? Though I remember that person, I am able to bring that shift within myself and spread the joy. So it's a little seesaw that may go on for a little while before I am, fully stepped into just giving and bestowing that quality upon others.
Yeah,
Any thoughts in your experience?
yeah. I think the way I see it is like having the intention. So, if my intention, like in my uncle's example, his quality of sharing that care and that giving that he had, keeping that intention that, yes, I want to, and my fill my interactions with that, right? So it's something that, would try and be all the time. And when, like what you mentioned, and the emotions of that grief or that remembering that loved one at that time, that could happen associated to a memory, like in my case, opening the chai masala mix at home, and many other things like that. So yeah, I think it's, for me, I feel like what helped in those moments was really bringing the understanding of the Supreme Soul in my mind at that time. So through that, that, because me just remembering the Supreme Soul, sorry, me just remembering my uncle, it doesn't achieve much, right? If anything else, maybe it's pulling the my uncle's intellect more towards me. If in Raj Yoga we've got this understanding, and I suppose that's more commonly known as well, right? We call it telepathy, right? If I think of you, you could be sitting there, all of a sudden you remember me, and like often we would experience, we'll receive a phone call from someone and go, oh, I was just thinking of you, I was just thinking of calling you. So that happens, right? So at that time, he's now going on his journey to start a new life, rather than pulling the soul, keep on pulling it towards me. Let me at that time bring someone in Raja, as we understand the Supreme Soul is, this powerful energy. It's really the parent of each and every one of us, right? And so if I bring the parent in mind, then the parent can give both of us what we need, right? And so through that, rather than connecting the soul to me, I'm connecting the soul to the parent, and I connect to the parent. So that, I think, has helped me in those moments. And then the practice of his virtues is more of something that, would aspire to do. Um, yeah, at, times of interacting with others. Yeah.
That's a good method.
Yeah.
So meditation or connection with the Supreme Soul, and then parallelly also bringing those virtues in our lives.
Yeah.
Thank you. And as you mentioned about meditation, and you have been a meditation follower or practitioner for 30 years, 30 plus years. So I think it would be great if you could give our viewers a little glimpse of how we meditate and give them an experience as well in a short few minutes of time, if that's okay.
Yep, sounds good. Happy to.
Thank you.
So, for everyone who's listening to this, I'll firstly invite you to take a moment to put all your physical distraction on DND, do not disturb. So put your phone on silent and any other distractions that you may have. So firstly, we'll just relax our physical body. Starting with our toes, I relax. Moving my awareness further up to my legs, my thighs, my stomach, I relax. And then to my chest, my shoulders, muscles of my face, chest, cheeks, I relax. Physical body is still relaxed. slowly, in my own time, I return back to the awareness of being in this room and seated in this chair. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Ami, for that beautiful commentary and giving us all an experience. I'm sure our viewers have got a little glimpse or a drop of, how we can meditate and uh, experience different qualities. So thank you again for joining us today and sharing your story as well. We've thoroughly enjoyed it and learned a lot, and our viewers have done so as well, I'm sure. So thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
And I would also like to thank our viewers for joining. And if you would like to know more about us, please do visit our website, www.brahmakumaris.org.au. All the details of our centers and retreat centers and the programs are put up there. And we hope to meet you at one of the centers sometime. So thank you once again, and we will be back with another interesting episode. Till then, take care and may joy and peace be with you. Thank you. Om Shanti.